Welcome to Positive Talk Radio. Our goal is simple: to explore evolving ideas one conversation at a time. So, stay with us as right now we present from the Pacific Northwest. Are you from a place where there's lots of woods around? Have you ever thought about what it would be like if you ran into a Sasquatch, or a Bigfoot, or whatever name you would like to call them? Well, we've got a gentleman with us today. His name is Frank. He's right there, and he's written a book called Lord of the Wood, and it is about Portland, or about Oregon specifically, and about the Sasquatch, and it's great to have you here. So Frank Giammanco, and I think I
Very
said
good.
that right. Actually, that's
You did.
yeah. How are you, sir?
Okay, sir. How are you?
I'm dandy, thank you. It's a beautiful day here in the Great Northwest, and I don't have to go into the woods because the Lord of the Wood might be there and stuff. Um, I don't want to go do that. What made you think of writing a book about Sasquatch?
I was always fascinated with paranormal stuff, even as a kid, and I was a big Twilight Zone fan. Um, and
Ah,
it just the idea popped into my head that maybe there was an interesting fiction story here that we could create, and something that was a little bit more. Rather than be serious, a little bit more tongue in cheek, a little bit more fun, and that's what I had hoped to do, and I think I did. Uh, so that's where we
well,
are.
good. Well, and it's a comedy as well as as well as serious, as well as
Yeah,
it covers the whole thing. And how long has the book been out now?
book's been out now about 9 months, and it's gotten some pretty nice reviews. Um, eh, I mean, obviously, I'd like to see more activity for the book, but no, it's done okay.
Well, that's one of the reasons why you're here, young man, is that we hope to because we're in the Pacific Northwest, which is by lore has been the home of Sasquatch for like
And
ever. And
correct.
I've known people that have claimed to know about Sasquatch, and have claimed to have seen him or her, as the case may be.
Right.
They can't prove it, and I was kind of curious. So I'll ask you. I know in your research, why is it that every film of a Sasquatch is fuzzy? What?
Well, okay. Geez, the only thing I can think of is because they're not actually taking pictures of a Sasquatch. They're
Aha!
taking pictures of a tree or a rock, or I don't know why. But yeah, that's yeah. I'm not in the business of proving the existence of Bigfoot. I'm in the business of entertaining people with Bigfoot. So
Yeah. Yeah. So, well, what made you think of Bigfoot specifically? I mean, there's lots of in the genre that you're talking about. There's lots of different aspects you could have taken. What was it about the Lord of the Wood that made it
okay,
work for you?
all right. I wanted a paranormal entity that was sort of almost classically American, and Bigfoot fit that description. Um, and I really thought that if I could again play around with the image of Bigfoot, where honestly, in most of the documentaries you see or most of the books you read, Bigfoot is kind of a beast. It's an untamed monster, and I didn't want that. And the Bigfoot that I created in this story is not that. He's really kind of a nice guy with a good wit.
What language does he speak?
English.
Now that's interesting. That's interesting. It's kind of like Harry and the Hendersons. Do you remember that one from way back when?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Except that even Harry and the Hendersons, it was still, it was kind of a primitive animal. Mine is much more erudite, has opinions, is able to read and and talk about the nature of existence, so to speak. Hello.
The nature of hello, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
Oh, oh, good. I don't know what I sometimes in the digital world so we have just a moment or two. Are you but you're still there, right?
I'm here.
Oh, perfect.
Haven't gone
So
anywhere.
go ahead, continue with what you were saying.
No, what I was simply saying is that the character that I attempted to create with Bigfoot is not what you would kind of conventionally expect. Where
Right.
again, a number of the dramas and even the documentaries deal with Bigfoot as kind of an untamed beast,
Right.
and my Bigfoot is not like that.
Exactly. Now did your I just get the picture of this big fella reading the paper, sitting on a stump reading the paper.
Yeah, you got it. You exactly you hit it. Yeah, he likes to read. He gets a kick out of reading supermarket tabloids. Um,
Well, he's in
and
all of them.
what?
He's in all of them at one point or
And
another.
that's why he reads them. He wants to. He's like Donald Trump in that respect. He wants to see where his name is mentioned. Um,
Exactly. Exactly. So that's
and go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say that's a pretty cool representation of what Bigfoot could be. And how did so in your book, do you explain in your book how he has evaded capture for so long? Because you would think somebody would have to be pretty smart to be able to evade people for as long as he or the species has.
Right. Um, yeah, I mean, basically, the way I've well, the way I constructed the story was that you've got two different groups of people. One group is from New York, and they're out there because the initiator of that endeavor had come out to the Pacific Northwest. He was in Eugene, Oregon, and he actually spotted Bigfoot, and Bigfoot spotted him, and it piqued his imagination, and he wanted to go back to find, and prove that his vision was valid. And so he takes a group with him, made up of his best friend and his ex-wife and the ex-wife's new paramour, and also a Native American from the area who he had met, who becomes their guide. In the meantime, there's another group of several people who are from the local news station, and they're headed by the investigative reporter on the team, and she and a cryptozoologist and her crew are out there looking to make a documentary. Now, the two groups never actually crisscross, but they're basically looking for the same thing at the same time in the same area, the Cascade Range, and and Bigfoot knows it, and he keeps toying with them. He's a prankster, and so he does a number of things to kind of put them off their game. Um, And then that's essentially where it goes. I mean, he does things like he throws squirrels in the air, and he also he pees on a couple of the guys. Uh, just he has fun.
He's
Uh,
a prankster, and he'd have
he,
to be to um, to be out there in the woods.
and
Now, go
Right, and
ahead.
that you said, how does he remain elusive? It's because he performs pranks on people, and it's disconcerting to people who have just a very rigid view of the way things should be, and he doesn't have that. He's unconventional.
So I think this would make a great movie.
Oh, thanks.
I
You want
think
to make it?
you got a couple $1,000,000 because I haven't got any of that kind of money.
Yeah,
But I mean, I can just see, I was just picturing as you were describing it in my mind of having the businessman from New Jersey or New York,
yeah,
and then the Indian that was local, and he would have some funny lines, and
right.
the because he was thinking these city slickers are because he would be used to the woods and
Yes,
stuff. So
exactly. That's correct. Yeah.
yeah. So how did you build this? How did you build all the characters? Did you do an outline and come up with each individual character and what they would be like, or some people do and some people don't? So what was your
Well,
method?
no, I actually didn't take that route, so to speak. I some of the characters are based on people that I actually know. Um, uh, Others of the characters just kind of came to me out of whole cloth. I mean, the investigative reporter, who is one of my favorite characters in the book, her name is Emerald Nemi, and she's tough as nails, and she's a local. She's half Paiute Indian and half German, and she acts it. And she's just she's I think a very dynamic character, and it just that's sort of the way it all came to me.
That is an interesting that is an interesting blood mix. Half
No,
German and half Indian. That
right,
or Native American.
Native
That would
American.
that would be really a conflict in terms of because Germans are real stoic. I'm half German, so I can say it.
Oh, okay.
Germans tend to be real stoic, and Indians tend to be real spiritually minded and that kind of thing. So it'd be an interesting mix.
Right. No, she's a different kind of a character, and so is the other Native American in the story. His name is John Moon, and he is a little. Well, he's a shaman, so he's much more spiritual and much more kind of, I guess, emotionally evolved. But just that's how they all came to me.
Well, congratulations! I think the book. I know it's been out a little bit, but it
Yeah.
hasn't gotten the publicity that it's due, which I think the more that you do shows like this, I think the better off that it'll be.
Well,
And
thank you. Yeah.
I like the title. I love, and you've also got a really cool um little trailer that you put together with that, or somebody did for you.
Well, the yeah, that
How
that
did that come?
a marketing organization did for me. Yes.
Yeah, how did that come to be? Because that's really
No,
cool
it's
they did.
just they came up with it on their own. I mean, based on scanning the book and picking up the essence of what the book was about, and then they created that little video trailer.
Yeah, that is a huge animal suit that whoever's in that is wearing. I
Yeah.
assume it's an animal suit anyway.
I would assume it's not a real Bigfoot. Yes. Yeah.
But I mean, it's 'cause he has a beautiful coat, and I mean, his it's really is interesting. So, by the way, we're talking with Frank Giammanco, and if you go to his website, which is frankgiammanco.com, you can find out more about the book. I'm sure it's in Amazon, it's
And
everywhere.
it's
Go
yeah,
ahead.
correct.
And it's all out there now. I would recommend, I always tell people, if you've got a small um, bookshop in your area that you like to go to, support the little guy, and take it and have them order the book for you through them, which would be Lord of the Wood and stuff. Do you have another book? Are you thinking about doing another one, or was this one a hard enough task all by itself?
Well, no, I mean it certainly wasn't easy, and it took me 5 years to do. Obviously, I was doing other things also, so
Oh yeah.
I wasn't as disciplined a writer as a Hemingway, but yeah, I do have another book, and I have begun it actually, and it takes the character I'd mentioned to you before, Emerald Nemi, and moves her from Eugene, Oregon, to New York City, where now her hubris has caught up with her, and she's been somewhat humbled, and so she's looking to kind of rebuild her career, and she's doing podcasts and other things in New York City in Lower East Side, and she gets embroiled in her own set of paranormal experiences, having nothing to do with Bigfoot. But again, I like the characters so much. I thought that she deserved her own story.
Cool. Well, that sounds like fun. Now, you've been in the publishing business for a long time, have you?
Yeah,
And
that's you're absolutely correct. Yes, I was in publishing for more than 40 years, and actually owned a publishing company. We published periodicals, magazines, and journals in the business to business sector, and sold it in 2017. And then I started doing some consulting for a lot of the companies I was working with. And in the course of that process, started writing books. And I wrote a couple of business books. And then I was embroiled in Lord of the Wood.
caught your fancy, and that changed, because I know you wrote a couple of business books,
Yes,
um,
correct.
and
Yeah.
and what were the names of those books, and what were they about?
Um, well, I mean, basically, they were memoirs of kind of people, luminaries who came out of the specific business world that I had been covering. As kind of a journalist, and the first one was called "Making a Difference," and the second one was called what the heck was the second one called? Never Give Up.
Oh, I love both of those titles,
Yeah. Well,
and
and
so go ahead.
go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask you, never give up. But is that, as it the title implies, never give up?
Well, yeah, yeah. I mean, it was. It's a story about an entrepreneur who started with virtually nothing, and he's another tough as nails kind of a guy, and yeah, it's just it's an interesting story. It's a Yeah, I mean, a guy who started with zero and wound up developing a company that he sold for $150 million.
Can I have that job?
Yeah,
Then I'll make your movie.
yeah. Well, that's true. I'll tell you what. You could have that job if you give me one.
Okay, we'll split it. So, because being an entrepreneur, I tell you, I was in the corporate world for a long time, and
Yeah.
being an entrepreneur takes a different mindset, and I'm trying to do that now, and it's just a different thing than being in corporate America and stuff, as you know,
Oh,
um,
sure. Absolutely. Yes.
and it makes it different. Now, the name of the first book again was
Was geez, why am I forgetting these things? I guess that's what happens with age. making a difference.
Making a difference. I like that one too, because that's what we try
Yeah.
and do here. What was the premise of that book?
Well, I mean, essentially, it was the same kind of book. In fact, the two guys that are were the focus of both books, were friends. They were friends and competitors, and and it's very interesting. Well, the thing that's interesting about it is that they took a very different view of their roles in the industry and their philosophies of life and stuff like that. They came from somewhat different backgrounds, but they remained friends for quite a while.
So when you were publishing
Yes.
and you did that for 40 years, did you ever think I'm going to retire and write a book?
No, no, I did not.
I didn't
Uh,
think you would. Because you know
yeah.
how difficult it can be and how getting it published can be a problem and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, sure. Yeah. And honestly, the concept of Lord of the Wood was in my head for quite a while, and I just could not start it. I just could not figure out a way to start the book, and so I would put it off, and I would put it off, and I would procrastinate, and then finally, again about 5 or so years ago, it just came to me, and I said, "Wait a minute, I could do it this way." And as soon as I began it, um, I started to write it. I mean, it's as though the book had been writing itself in the back of my head, and so it just ultimately, well, there it is, 468 pages later, and I have a book.
Well, what's interesting about that is that I have interviewed a lot of authors and musicians and poets and
Hmm.
artists and actors and director in virtually to a person. They all tell me that their passion project and what came to them, it just came
It
to
just
them. It,
came. Yeah.
it wasn't, and it may have even come from somewhere else. It may have been, some people have called it a download, other people have called it just their imagination and stuff. But it's interesting
Hmm.
how sometimes if you're in the right mindset and it's supposed to be done or you're supposed to do it, it'll just come to you the way it's supposed
Yeah.
to.
No, absolutely. I mean, it's almost a little mystical.
Yeah.
It's when you sit down, you start to write fiction, and if you're not too self conscious about it, which is a problem, and you just let yourself go. It's remarkable. You don't quite even know where it comes from.
Yeah. Yeah. I had interviewed a gal. Her books are coming out this fall, and she's going to be on the podcast again or the show again.
Uh huh.
And she woke up, and this is kind of it's a creepy but kind of a good story. Are you ready?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. And she woke up one morning at she's an orthodontist, so she has a thriving practice. She has like 16 employees.
Right.
And she woke up one morning at 4 o'clock in the morning, and she heard a male voice say into her ear, "It's time to start writing."
Oh my gosh.
So she wakes up, she looks around, and she doesn't see anybody. She puts her robe on, goes in the bathroom, nobody's there, goes in the living room, nobody's there. So she calls her therapist and says, "I think I'm schizophrenic because I just heard a male's voice in my head saying that I needed to start writing." And her therapist texts back. It was this by text. She texts back at 4 o'clock in the morning, so that was probably a chargeable moment. Anyway,
Yeah.
she and she said, "Well, did you start writing?" And so she grabbed a journal, an empty journal, and a candle, sat down, and started writing. Didn't know what she was going to write about, but it's kind of like it just started going, just started flowing,
Yeah.
and the words just came, and the words just came until 5 o'clock in the morning. Then they stopped,
Yeah.
and then the next day, she wakes up at 4 o'clock in the morning. A little voice this time in her head says, "It's time to start writing."
Oh my gosh.
So for 18 months, she's writing between 4 o'clock in the morning and 5 o'clock in the morning every day.
Right. Always
Christmas,
prompted by the voice?
always prompted by the voice. Well, she couldn't get it out of her head.
Yeah.
So if she didn't write, it was like rattling around in her head. But if she once she put it down on paper, then it was gone, and then she didn't have to worry about it. So she would write like a chapter an hour, and it. So in any events, that turned out to be 10,000 pages. And so she's turning that into 4 books.
Yeah.
But she swears it didn't come from her, and there's a story about her, and her childhood and what happened. And it's in chronological order. But she swears she didn't. She just sat down and wrote it, and I
Yeah.
think that happens a lot to people, creative people that allow it to happen. It happened to you,
Yeah,
and
yeah, to a large extent, that's exactly true. Yeah, right.
and you've been
I
planning it
would
for a long time.
remember, while I was, ensconced in the project, dreaming about it,
Oh, yeah.
and from the dreams, I would, get ideas, and I'd wake up and I'd say, "Oh gosh, glad I remembered that one," and yeah, and I'd go sit down and I'd apply it.
Yeah. Now, did you have a piece of paper or a piece of paper? Did you have like a pad of paper by your bed so that if you were to wake up, you would write something down?
No, I never did it that way. I have a small office in my home that's right down the hallway from our bedroom. So I just get up and walk to my little office and sit down as I'm sitting with you and get going.
Now, did you write it on like shorthand or write it out, or did you type it out?
No, I always typed it out. I never wrote it on. I never put it on paper. I mean, I shouldn't say that. I never wrote by hand.
Yeah, but it worked for you to do it uh, by typing it into a computer.
Yeah, no, I got so used to typing that I no longer write on paper as such. I mean, I do, I make notes, of course, and things like that, but for the most part, I sit down, I just call up the manuscript and get going.
I would love to be able to do that. Give me some advice. How can I start writing?
How can you start writing?
Yes, because a lot of either you know how to write, you are writing, or you
Yeah.
haven't got a clue. I'm in the camp that doesn't have a clue.
Okay. Come up with one idea that intrigues you. Write one sentence and look at that sentence and say, okay, what follows that sentence? And I think that's, as they say, a journey start a thousand, what is it? 1,000-foot journey starts with one step.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's one of the ways to do it. You just you put down that first line or that first paragraph, and you look at it and you say, okay, well now I know where this is going to go, and you walk and you walk and you walk.
Interesting. Now, did you have anybody read like your wife or somebody read the text as it was being written, or did you wait for it to be completely done before you showed it to
No,
them?
I waited for it to be completely done, and then I had two different professional editors look at it. Yeah.
Yeah, and professional editors, that would be, I would hate that job, quite frankly. 'Cause the so did they come back with, a bunches and bunches of edits that they wanted you to do?
um, well, I had one person who is actually a professor in the University of Arkansas who I had hired, and at first blush, he loved the book, and then got into it, and he said, "Well, okay, you made a mistake here, you made a mistake there, you did this, you did that. I wouldn't do this." And then I realized that, well, I should take just about half of what he's telling me and discard the rest. And the other editor was really more of a mechanical editor, a proofreader, a copy editor, and she was very good. I mean, she knew how to kind of tighten the copy up, and that was the way it went.
You know, it's interesting because if you, as an example, were to take your work and make it into a screenplay, and then you
Yep,
went and sold the screenplay,
yep.
um, it would look nothing like what you wrote by the time it was all done.
Oh,
Because then
I'm absolutely sure you're right. Yeah.
because the editor gets involved, the producer gets involved,
Producers get involved. Yeah,
the director gets involved, and all of that, and so it would change. So that's why some people prefer not to write screenplays, because it's their work, it's their baby, and they're proud of it. And
yeah.
then it gets all chopped up and mixed up and all that kind of stuff. So it makes it tough.
No, I concur. People who have read the book, whom I know, have told me that they thought, as I think you mentioned, that maybe there's a movie in this. Personally, I think there might be a kind of a situation comedy in it, and something that might go on Hulu or Netflix or something of that sort. Particularly because the last third of the book was divided into thirds. I didn't actually produce it in chapter format, so to speak. And the last third of the book deals virtually exclusively with Bigfoot. And I just I that was the part that really was to my mind, the most creative part of the book. And I think it lends itself to the possibility of a series.
Oh, very nice. Well, if you put together a series, and we can come up with that $150 million you were talking about,
Yeah, yeah,
uh,
yeah, yeah.
I'll help you produce it.
Hey, great, thank you. Have you produced television before?
No.
Okay, all right. Well, that's fine. Haven't written for television before,
And
so
I am a podcaster and a radio host, and that's pretty much what I do and stuff. So
uh-huh.
but I do know people. I got people because
You
I've
got
interviewed
people in the
people.
right places.
I'm hoping that, of course, the thing is about movie production and stuff is that nobody has any money, and it takes millions of dollars to produce
Oh
uh,
gosh, yeah,
from everything that you want to do. But it seems to me like yours would be a lot of fun to do because you could take Sasquatch and create him any way that you want to, and then
exactly.
in the first part of the book or the movie, they could everybody could be scared of this thing that's out there, and he's a big and he's imposing and stuff like that, and then the jokes start happening and
Right.
the pranks start happening, and he doesn't really need to even don't even need to show him, but the pranks are going on, and it's all of the stuff is happening, and that would be fun. That would be fun
Yeah,
to
yeah.
do. So
Well,
congratulations.
if you notice too, on television these days, the most popular series, situation comedies, are of the paranormal. I
Yeah,
mean, you've got shows like What We Do in the Shadows and Ghosts, and they're very, very popular. And of course, they're all very much tongue in cheek. They're funny.
yeah.
And that was what I was thinking, is that it's that genre that I like.
Now, the sitcom Ghost, I haven't watched that one yet. Is that the one where you've got um, the cavalry officer that's got a arrow in his neck?
Yeah, no, he was a um, what was he? He's not a cavalry officer. He's um, uh, uh, what do you call it? I mean, he was like with the Girl Scouts. He was a scoutmaster. Scoutmaster. Thank you. Um,
And he got killed. He's a scoutmaster, and he got killed by a girl in
yeah,
a
yeah, exactly. One of the kids took a bow and arrow and shot him. So
what what a you know when you get to the other, and I'm sure they've explored this, but when you get to the other side, and everybody's got, yeah, I was in a horrible car accident, and this happened, and he says I was shot by a 12-year-old girl in
Yeah.
a with an arrow. That that's not something that you would be proud of. I wouldn't think.
No, they make fun of him on the show.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
So that's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome. So, um, Frank, I've got to go and do another show here in a little bit, but
Okay.
I want you to give me an idea and tell me what you would like our audience to know
Okay. You mean about my book?
about anything that you'd like.
Okay.
You can talk about. By
One
the
of the
way,
things one of the
oh,
things I tell people about the book is that, rather than get very philosophical about it, just simply read it with the perspective of, I'm not going to take myself seriously. I'm just going to have a good time.
that is, I think that's a great way to live life, personally.
Yeah.
And by the way, is the I think it would be a hoot if the Sasquatch had kind of a rust color to him, and his last name was Trump. But that's just me.
Okay. I wasn't going to get that deep into the politics, but right. Except I like my Sasquatch. So
Well,
well,
and your
right.
Sasquatch probably doesn't lie, cheat, and isn't going to jail for a long time. So
Yeah,
that's
well, yeah. Now I just lost 50% of my readers.
no,
Um,
no. Just kidding. We're just making a joke, ladies and
I
gentlemen.
know. Yeah. Well, some people take themselves too seriously.
It's amazing how that happens, isn't it?
Yeah, I know. I know.
So it's such a pleasure talking to you, sir.
Well, thank you, Kevin. I enjoyed speaking with you as well. It was a great time.
And go to his website, which is frankgiammanco.com. That's
Yeah,
G.
yeah, I was going to say you should spell the last name.
Yeah, I'm good. Well, I'll have you do it. You do it more often than I do.
Right. Yeah, that's true. It's GIAMM as in Mary, AN as in Nancy, the way my parents used to do it,
.com.
CO.com.
Yeah. And the name of the book again is
Lord of the Wood.
Lord of the Wood. And it's been out just a little bit. You go to Amazon, go all over the place. It's available for you. And tell your friends. And it's a great, I think, judging from what we've talked about today, I think it'd be a lot of fun. And it is a lot of fun. And
Great.
it's got
Thank you.
great reviews and stuff like that. So thank you so much for being
Terrific.
here. Is there
Thanks,
anything
Kevin.
else you'd like to say? Anything you'd like to add before we go?
No, just thanks for the opportunity, and hopefully we'll get some readers.
Exactly. And you'll have to come back and when your next paranormal normal book comes out, we'll have you back and we'll talk about that one.
Oh, definitely be back.
Very nice. Wait right
Okay.
there. I'll be right back. Hey, thanks for enjoying this episode all the way to the end. Please give us a like and subscribe to this channel. This has been a production of PositiveTalkRadio.net. Please visit our website, oddly named PositiveTalkRadio.net, for more details about us and our mission, which is to provide great positive programming designed to inspire us all. I'm Kevin McDonald, and I'm proud of these shows, and I truly hope that you